Hello and welcome to Dubai Trains. And this week it's time for a field trip, also known as a holiday. Can anyone guess where this is? Let's find out after the intro. This video is made possible by the Dubai Trains Patreons. Check how you can become a member to unlock extra content. A while ago, we finally had time for a holiday, and I managed to sneak in a train ride. For those who haven't guessed it, we're in the south of France and riding the narrow gauge line from Nice to Digne. So let's have a closer look on the satellite imagery. So here is the globe, here is Europe, and it is in the south of France. Here close to Monaco, it's already on the map there. And it goes all the way from Nice, that's here in the south, through the mountains and to Digne. And it's actually quite a nice trip. I've done it a few times now. It takes about 2.5 hours to do the whole route. So let's just have a closer look at the route first before I share some imagery. This is Google Earth, so let's make it 3D so we can get a bit of an idea of what kind of landscape we're going through. So it starts off here in Digne and a bit in a valley in let's say the plains in between the mountains. These are actually the foothills of the Alps. First thing we do here is go over this ridge, we climb a little bit, and then we enter this canyon. And then around about from this area is where it starts to get interesting. As you see, we gotta wind our way through this ridge and then follow the gorge, and then slowly we start going into higher and deeper terrain. So from here on, it's quite a nice route. I'm just going to, as you see, fly over it. I don't want to go through every little detail. I'll point out a few things later on. Here's Barimé, there's a station right there. And then this is where it gets really nice, and you can see it on the mountains as well. The mountains are quite high right here. So Saint-André-l'Alps is quite a nice starting point. There's a lake here where you can swim. It's absolutely sub-zero temperatures. And the train really winds its way in and up and over the mountains. So from Saint-André-l'Alps, we're going to be climbing quite a lot because we have to cross this mountain ridge as you see over here. And actually, most part of it goes through a tunnel from here all the way to this end. So we're climbing here. If I zoom in, go through the valley, you can see as best as Google Earth is trying to dictate it. It's just a valley. The track is right over here, the station. The road is also winding over the river, left, right, center. And then as we just slowly follow it, you'll see at some point here, yes, the track will make a bend off to the right, dive under the road, and then just go straight into the mountain. So if we zoom out, you'll see we have to cross this entire mountain. This is the longest tunnel on the stretch. And then from there, we actually hug this ridge, you can see, but we're still quite elevated, so we're going to descend. We have quite a steep grade downwards. Again, here you'll see it. It's just winding through the hills. You can see it here. I think there's a beautiful bridge somewhere around here. Google Earth is projecting this upside down, so let me just turn it. So here you can really see it. You can see the road wind down. Somehow they managed to put a station here, and this beautiful viaduct right here, and just overlooking this valley with the Var River. It's really a beautiful train ride. And if we continue the line here in La Figueray, we'll see there's actually a few tunnels. Well, my red line, I totally butchered the actual path of the train, but you can see it. From the left bottom, we dive in a tunnel, and we come out of the tunnel, we cross the valley, we go in another tunnel here, do a 180, come out of the tunnel, make a curve, dive in the tunnel under the village-ish, and then come out of the tunnel, and we have descended quite a lot again. Because remember, we're still trying to descend, as we need to go all the way to the Mediterranean sea level, as you'll see in a bit. So here's the Figueray, here's a knot. As you see, we're really hugging the contour of the mountain here. Whereas here there is a river, so we can follow that. That's a natural cut through these ridges. Here's Trevo. Trevo is a really nice old style medieval fortress village. It's quite nice to visit. So from Trevo onwards, the landscape changes a bit. Trevo is here in the left corner, and then there's these ridge structures, as you can see here, going all the way, especially from east to west. And we're following that ridge, and there's a river there as well, the Var River. And here we have a little bit of wiggly bits, just because the river does some tight turns and twists and turns. And then we slowly come in I guess we'd call it the delta, if you can say that for French River, where it really widens up, and then here enters the Mediterranean Sea. So this last section of the track, to be honest, is like a half an hour. It's not that interesting. It's quite flat, not that much to see. But while we're looking at the satellite images, here you can see Nice. You can just see it by this pinkish reddish color. This is the old city. Beautiful, beautiful city. The airport is right there, so if you're a tourist flying into Nice, just take a hotel here on the coast, and then you can go to the city one day, and the other day you can take the train. And you can see as well, here's the more modern part of the city, with larger plots, larger structures, of luxuries like football fields and shopping centers and stuff like that. You can all find that here. So here you can see the train hurtling down the mountain, and look at all the features. We got the track in the middle of the rails to prevent the train from well, when it derails, to slide off into the gorge or into the mountain. And here you can get a sense of the speed as well. It was so bumpy. And if you're modeling this, there's plenty of industries along the track. So here's an aggregate industry. It didn't have a rail connection. Maybe it had one in the past, but didn't have one now. But that's very easy to add and to have some aggregate cars on your layout. We can see that as well if we go to the satellite view. Here we can see that same aggregate company. So you see they're basically eating away one side of the mountain, all the trucks. They then cross this bridge to where the aggregate is sorted and shifted, all kinds of piles, all kinds of equipment, and then from there you could load it onto a train. I don't see any reminiscences or any evidence that this was ever rail served, but yeah, you could do that quite easily yourself in your layout. A few small things I wanted to point out. The train was actually driving through closed turnouts, so these have a spring mechanism in it to close it again after the train goes through it. What's the benefit of this? Well, is that the train will always take the station, the terminal track on the left in this case. So we see we're on the left track, and the train coming from the other direction will also take the left track coming from that direction. It doesn't require any switching, so no automation there, nothing that can fail, can break. It's just easy. It's all automated by very simply having a sprung turnout. So here you see some beautiful images. I really like this, where there's grass growing in between the tracks and then the trees overhanging the track. It really looks quite nice. Do note this was a really wobbly, bumpy train ride. A lot of the track was the old track there. It wasn't welded. It was still the wooden sleepers. That said, they are modernizing the track, so some sections were a bit more comfortable. And again, I always like to point out that everything you want to model is in real life, guys. It's all there. So if you see the stone wall on the left, you have the sheer facing rock work as well, and then a piece of track, and then it goes down into the river. And then if you look up, you see how the bushes hang over the rocks, and there's even a road up there. If you continue on that track, here's some more details. So this is a milepost sign, or it's probably a kilometer post sign in France. And just see how the rock work is, and how they try to patch it up with netting and concrete. And the river is just right there. It's just 2 feet to the right, and then a couple of feet down. I'm sure in the US, if you're modeling like the Rio Grande, there's scenes like this as well. And the planet is all the same, it's just a country that's different. So let's just show how superimposed the track work was. Here I held the camera perpendicular to the train, and here is one where I held it horizontal. So you can see it on that structure on the left. It's truly horizontal, so you just get an idea of how superimposed these curves were. So that's it for the satellite imagery. Let me just start off with the station here in Trevo. There's so much happening. In case you don't see it, we zoom in, there's a tunnel, then there's a bridge, then there's a crossing for cars, some turnouts, and then there's a pedestrian walkway, and then there's a station. So in about 100 meters, 100 yards or so, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the station is 6 elements in just a short space right there. So here you get a sense of the scale and topography. So here the train slowly widens into the mountains, and on the left behind us we have Nice, and that's just how it is. Very beautiful. So more modeling videos coming up next week. Hold on tight. That's it for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much.